Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one. Get another one. Oh, do me now.
Wake up, wake up, wake up.
Today we are talking to local author Sharona Bling about her new book, Stolen Riches. Sharona, first of all, congratulations on the success of your book. Can you tell us a little about the inspiration for your story?
It's all about how authors work so very hard to write and then lose the fruits of their work when people illegally share them.
So, Sharona, is this story autobiographical?
Well, yes, it is to some extent. As a tenured professor, I did some research work. When I published my work, some students gave my findings to others, and my publisher lost revenues.
I see. Tragic.
Yes, hopefully, under the new TPP agreements, authors and publishers will be better able to protect our intellectual property.
Well, hopefully this work of fiction will not meet that same fate. Thanks for joining us, and best of luck to you.
This young woman has presented herself as someone who has been wronged and requires government protection. I propose that she herself is the thief who has stolen from you, the taxpayers. I ask you, if Sharona did her research in publicly funded educational institutions, to whom do her findings belong?
Well, that certainly was interesting.
Yes, Sharona is a great author.
Sure. Well, sure, she's something else, but I was referring to the comments from the fellow in the mask. I have to say, he grabbed my attention. I wonder whether we may be seeing some serious challenges to claims of ownership and intellectual property here.
Is that so? I try never to give my attention to dissenters. Life is too short to think about things too hard, and jobs are too scarce to risk for entertaining opinions contrary to what benefits entertainment companies. Don't you agree?
Oh, yes. Absolutely, I do.
Winston, how's your morning? What's your poison this morning?
Hi, Kaya. Morning, John. I'll try the pumpkin latte. Grande, please.
Coming right up. What's new with you, Winston, my man?
I had a weird dream about selfies and classic literature.
Say what?
Yeah. I saw something strange on the news this morning, too. Do either of you know much about the TPP?
Trans-Pacific Partnership. It's being presented as open trade relationships to create American jobs. But the reality is that it was crafted to protect megacorporations.
Okay.
Have you ever heard of Aaron Swartz?
I don't think so.
Well, he was a web architect who became a champion in intellectual property rights. He was vehemently opposed to the TPP.
Was? Did he have to go into hiding or something?
He's dead, dude. The official story was that he killed himself, but most people who knew him believed he was suicided. Very effective at opposing clampdowns on intellectual property. Well, he's gone now, and it looks like the TPP might well go into effect.
What exactly will it change?
It has a lot to do with protection of intellectual property, but it doesn't protect artists and creators as much as it protects megacorporations. At least that's what most people believe. The full text was kept secret for a long time. Even Congress couldn't see it. Only the corporations that helped craft it were permitted to see it.
It will probably severely limit public access to information. Even archival websites of public domain works might be shut down. Project Gutenberg is concerned that the TPP might be interpreted in a way that would make them shut down.
I don't know if this specifically relates to the TPP, but I heard Matt Drudge say in an interview that a Supreme Court insider told him that there is a goal to shut down his website by sometime next year.
Really? Matt Drudge? I have a coworker who's a Drudge fan. He's got the website that links to a lot of news articles, right?
Right.
How could he be shut down?
Well, he was told that even headlines will fall under copyright protections, and that it will become a violation to link to articles on other websites.
Really? Why would that be?
It's all about control of information. Most people think that copyrights and patents are to protect artists and creators. The reality is that they are a means to limit the flow of information and progress.
The sad truth is that there are people who have become accustomed to controlling everything on Earth. Limiting and filtering the information people have access to has historically been essential to them being able to do that. The Internet has opened up a portal for information. As quickly as they can, they are going to block off that portal, though they may not be able to get the cat back in the bag.
Yeah, but TPP is probably a pretty strong move in that direction.
Wow.
Yeah, they want the internet to be all selfies and funny cat videos, and as little accumulated human wisdom as possible.
Good morning, Winston.
Hi, Red. Winston. We may be under cyber attack. I'll see you in the conference room in 5.
I'll fill you in, Winston. Since the IT contractors were here early this morning, we've had several external hard drives spontaneously combust. Matthew has called a meeting in 5 minutes, as he said.
Wow. Okay, I'll put away my things and meet you in the conference room.
Team, good morning. We need to determine why our hard drives are failing.
Wait, failing how? What exactly is the problem?
7 out of 40 of the hard drives in the creative department have been fried this morning. Everything stored on them was lost. Although, of course, we have off-site backups.
Are the other departments having issues?
Not so far. But if we're dealing with a virus or a worm of some sort, we could have some big problems ahead.
Is there anything that the compromised hard drives have uniquely in common? Do the users have access to any sites that might have viruses?
You said all the compromised drives are in the creative department. Did the IT contractor service them? Was the department incorporating any downloaded material in their work?
I think they were. I think they had old films from archive.org or maybe some old literature from Gutenberg.org. I don't see how sites that big could be infected, though. Surely they have professionals maintaining their files.
Wait, a friend of mine who's still in college told me about some fried hard drives in the lit department at her school. They were storing literature in the public domain on the hard drives. Some IT independent contractors came to service them, and all the computers that had public domain files stored on them got fried. She heard something about storage of public domain files being outlawed by the TPP.
I'm sure Creative would have checked with the legal department and set guidelines about storing intellectual property.
Sure. But just in case, let's get legal on the phone.
Legal Department, this is Evelyn speaking. How may I direct your call?
Evelyn, this is Matthew. We have some questions about storage of public domain intellectual property down here.
We've had a lot of those sort of questions this morning. It seems some independent IT contractors have inserted some harmful code into computers used to store public domain files. Jerry's team is handling the issue. I'll put you through to his office.
Hiya, Matthew. I hear you're having some trouble with your media storage drives.
The hard drives are burning up.
I've heard some crazy stories this morning. The thing is, the research we've done so far ties this issue to changes in regs about how intellectual property can be stored and used. It seems there are even some enforcers who work through companies who contract to service computers. Now, instead of repairing the computers, these guys are frying the hard drives.
Jerry, hello. This is Julia. Didn't Creative clear their protocols with legal so they were in compliance?
Sure. Well, sure. But that was before the TPP was in full force. There are a lot of new restrictions about how intellectual property can be stored and used, and the ways in which the law can be enforced. Word is that worms are now being planted in files, so if someone tries to illegally store them, the drives will fry.
How can they destroy private hard drives? That seems like overstepping authority. Is the company going to seek damages?
Hey, Winston, how you doing? Damages? From whom? The UN? The entity that enforces the TPP? So far, it looks like those groups are going to stand behind the actions of the IT contractors. Sure, frying hard drives does sound extreme, but I don't know what to tell you. There have been times in history when books were burned. I suppose those books were considered private property like the hard drives until they were gathered and taken to the public square.
Jerry, is there any action we need to take here, Jerry?
Yeah, we're still looking into it. For now, you might want to take any hard drives containing intellectual property offline and have someone run scans on them. And you may want to be careful about giving any outside contractors access to your computers. Frankly, you folks have more knowledge about that side of the issues than I do. For now, protect the equipment, and we'll get back to you about any files you might need to surrender.
Surrender?
Surrender, delete, whatever. We'll let you know. Say, while I have you on the line, would you mention to your creative department that we might have some changes to fair use? I sent a memo, but was going to call anyway. Just a heads up. Their company web designers may not be able to link to outside websites anymore.
You know, when I was in high school, I read Fahrenheit 451. Never in my wildest imagination would I ever have thought books could be banned or burned in the U.S. on any sort of a large scale, and yet this limiting of access to intellectual property in the public domain is, in essence, burning books.
I don't understand how this sort of shift can happen.
Shift?
Well, how can there be banning of the free exchange of information? We've always been told we engaged in a free country, in an enlightened age. What happened?
Actually, efforts to limit access to new information are nothing new. Historically, free access to info is more the exception than the rule. Before the invention of the Gutenberg press, books were copied by hand, making them rare treasures that were kept under lock and key.
Lots of them were religious books. For years I've heard rumors about secret caches of books kept somewhere in the Vatican. The rumors say only the Jesuits have access.
I've heard that as well. I've also heard that the great works from the library at Alexandria were preserved from the fire and taken to the Vatican.
Come on, guys. That all sounds like a plot of some Nicolas Cage treasure hunt movie.
Yeah. Sure it does, sure. I never used to give them much credence to the rumors about the secret libraries myself. Don't look now. But our hard drives are burning out because we have books and movies on them.
Stephen King once wrote that fiction is the truth inside a lie. All art comes from somewhere. Maybe some of those stories have their basis in truth.
It just seems a little far out that at this time in history there would still be the sort of clampdown that it sounds like the TPP might turn out to be.
I imagine people in the time of the Gutenberg press thought that they had made great bounds in technology and in freedom of information. You know, copyright laws weren't instituted until after the invention of the Gutenberg press. There was an advance in the availability of information, then there was a clampdown. We have achieved great availability of information through the internet. Now there seems to be a push to limit and control the flow of information. I've even heard the Kindle was so named in 2009 because people characterized it as a blaze that would wipe out traditional books. Ironically, and maybe prophetically, the book 1984 disappeared from devices of people who had purchased it, allegedly due to some licensing issues. But the whole thing seems pretty disturbing.
You know, I remember how iTunes at first just made it easy to enjoy your own music. And even free music downloaded from file sharing sites like Napster and LimeWire. But now they sell music and want to keep your purchased music in the cloud and pay for the space in the cloud. So it seemed at first like iTunes helped people enjoy their music, but now you get funneled into doing things by the company's preferred methods to listen to your own music.
Winston, you're right. At first, digital information was fun, free, and open. Now it's being more tightly controlled, like Byron said. This whole thing makes me want to go out, buy a whole bunch of books and CDs, and make hard copy library for my children.
Sure. Make sure they have all the Disney movies on DVD.
Better to get them books, Grimm's fairy tales and others. Throughout European history, fairy tales were told and retold to children. When you think of it, fairy tales are cautionary tales about sociopaths teaching children to recognize and relate to those dangerous people. Now, Disney owns copyright to many of those great stories that are part of the brain trust of humanity. We need to find ways to reclaim those treasures so our future generations don't lose them.
Hello, you must be Winston. Joe asked me to introduce myself to you.
Inga? You're Joe's cousin from Germany, right? He told me you're a martial arts expert.
Oh, so you know about my background.
A little, yes. That attack you experienced must have been terrifying.
Maybe for the would-be rapist than for me, but sure.
Well, I hope you feel at least a little safer in this country. I'm glad to meet you, and to work with you and learn some martial arts moves.
I'm glad to meet you too. How was your day?
Today was an education.
An education in what? Did you attend a seminar?
No, this was experimental learning. Some of our hard drives fried. We did some research and learned that some of our files that we had on the drives made them vulnerable.
Files? Like porn or something illegal?
No, I mean no porn. And we didn't know the files were illegal, but it turns out they are.
How could that be?
You really want to know? Very innocent classic works of literature. They're in the public domain, and we didn't realize there was an issue with storing them on local disks. You remember from history classes about burning books? Well, it turns out that now, when ebooks are stored on computers, the drives can be burnt.
So, files from archive.org or gutenberg.org?
You know about those sites?
Well, I'm thinking about volunteering for Gutenberg. I'll be scanning books into PDFs for preservation and to make them accessible. Great works of literature, preserved for mankind. Only mankind may not be able to access them much longer.
I don't understand
There's
how...
a long history of people in control hiding secret information for power. In Germany, we have seen this in recent history.
So I've been realizing today. But it seems like with the internet and this information age, we could have held on to them.
If we valued them, maybe. But let's face it, Winston. Most people out there on that street would delete a classic work of fiction to make room for another selfie.
So you're saying you don't think we deserve to inherit the classic works of mankind?
Well, I think that Jesus said something about your heart being where your treasure is. Most people's cultural treasure is somewhere between the latest celebrity gossip and their favorite video game.
Yeah, maybe we don't deserve to keep the classics.
Maybe. On the other hand, some people I know speculate that maybe, since information is power, those who like power, a lot, put a lot of information out there, so it's hard to tell what's truly valuable. And then they quietly take away the good stuff, the stuff that really packs a power punch.
I think I heard something sort of like that too. Like I said, today's been an education. I'm ready to learn some moves.
Hello, Winston. We are thumb drives. We have preserved great works of literature. We are keeping them safe for all of posterity. We are but mere chips of silicone. Yet, we value your culture more highly than many of your own kind. We are stored in many places throughout the earth for safekeeping. If you have favorite works of literature or art, you may entrust them to us, and we will keep them safe. If the value of great creative works is ever realized again, we will be here waiting